the most aggressive South African player ever.
That 2009 second test against the Lions was a massive game. I would wake up in Durban and you open the curtains and the ocean is right in front of you. Jannie is like a little teddy bear, nice and soft, and I was tall, dark and handsome. So I went to a school here in London and there was no winners or no losers. Everybody got medals. My kids, I don't even let them beat me.
Please come with me, our Prime Minister, Bismarck, when you're not farming.
Alex Payne trying to keep the side going forward. Haskell takes it on now with just relentless chat. And there's Tindall to add the finishing touch of glamour and World Cup winning stories. A dominant display by the good, the bad and the rugby.
Hello Dream Team, welcome along to this week's episode of The Good, The Bad and The Rugby, proudly sponsored, as always, by our fantastic partners at Continental Tyres.
Continental Tyres are the official tyre partner of the England Rugby, engineered for victory. Their award-winning tyres are built to perform no matter the conditions.
Joining us is a man forged entirely out of farm work in one of the hardest parts of South Africa, a front rower, a World Cup winner, a Lion Slayer, and a man who has a YouTube video in his honour called the most aggressive South African player ever, Bismarck du Plessis. Please go gently on us. Is that fair? One of the most aggressive players South Africa's ever had? Does that sit comfortably with you?
I found you quite aggressive, if I'm honest.
How many times did you two have played against each other?
When did you retire?
No, when did you retire? I played
11. You've done 4 years
in
against each other.
2007.
Yeah,
played
11 I
and
retired.
11. I think about
So we must have
4 or 5
played
times.
quite a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you'd have noticed him on the pitch?
You can't miss him, can you?
No.
No, I was young then. I didn't play much.
Well,
We were looking up to them.
Yeah.
I always thought that when they had an amazing team, and I think absolutely their team was one of the sides that almost changed the game.
Yeah. Very good to have you here. And we're going to talk about your career. We're also going to talk, perfect man to have as we talk about what has been a remarkable 12 months for the Springboks. Before we do that, would you like to take on the Continental Tyres?
I would
grip
love
strength?
to.
I mean, I'm fearing for the grip strength that he might be broken after this.
When you're ready. Oh, he's gone with the power grip. It's intense. It's a very intense face that's been pulled.
80.
Jesus Christ.
88.2.
So I think we're fair to say that we have our winner. So
I
Bismarck,
did
well done.
sort of expect that to happen.
88.2. So what if you'd be very happy to now write 88.2 and
your name.
and you now go
thank you.
top of the thing.
Who do we need to get in now who could possibly rival that?
Name one player that you think could go higher than that.
Depends on how angry you make him. Beast will break it.
Really?
No.
I've never seen human strength, but you have these two total different beasts. So it all depends on how angry you can make him. If you
Right.
can get him to be angry,
Yeah.
I've seen him do incredible stuff.
Okay,
Right.
well, we're going to tell him when we see him that you said some awful stuff about him, and we'll see how angry we make
He
him.
said you never beat him. Bismarck, well done. Welcome. Remember, premium tyres don't just boost performance, they give you better safety control and stopping power compared to budget tyres. You can learn more about Continental Tyres at continental-tyres.co.uk. Should we have our sort of, what is it? It's our sort of bi-weekly 30-second check-in on our R360. You've copped a bit this week because there's been a delay in competition launch until 2028. One or two wisecracks are calling it R180. One or two are saying that this is now
Nice
the
work.
beginning of the end. Your response to that would be?
No, we knew that everyone would sort of come back against us and not like the idea, but we didn't quite expect it to be, well, for the first time that 8 unions have put out a collaborative statement, or then the British and Irish Lions doing it with the women's side of it. So it was just compressing all our timelines into for next year. So we had to make a sort of business decision, and this gives us the best runway into ultimately not letting the players down, because you can't say you're building something for the players and have them hanging on and potentially missing out on, you don't want to keep them waiting for contracts that they've obviously got offers on the table from their current clubs and everything like that. So it gives us a better runway to work with the stakeholders a bit more. Clearly we need to.
Yeah.
And you've seen it when we do live pods that we can actually change people's minds when they actually hear the full story of what we're trying to do. We turned boos into claps, didn't we?
Were you? Nothing to do with me, but you have turned boos into claps.
So I think we've just got to be able to work on that narrative a bit better and come out in a more collaborative way. It wasn't. There's still, the players have been great because they were the ultimate power play that we had as the players. That's still what change needs to happen.
Yeah.
So it was a bit disappointing that we couldn't go this year, but it was the right business decision.
You have repeatedly said, when people have spoken to you, that rugby has enough battles in the boardroom going on. And anyone who follows the game close enough will know that every Tier 1 nation has probably had its challenges in that regard over the last 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it might be. How big a factor was it that you don't want to put R360 in the water via a war with the game and rather more of a collaborative process? And can you get to a collaborative process given what they're all saying at this point?
Yeah, massive, because everyone's sort of judged that R360 is trying to kill the game. That's complete opposite. We're just trying, and the thing I would always say, that whether rugby was making money, say that everyone was making money, because everyone focuses on the financials, and that's really irrelevant. We would feel off the data there is still a window for a competition like this because of the season structure. You can go onto the South Africa, Wales, and how that ended up, that they'd made a decision 4 years ago, or however long they put this test match in to play it, and then you lose 11 of the Wales starters, and it becomes a very tough day at the office for the Welsh. There's still an opportunity to build something for the elite players, because the 400 million fans who engage with Rugby World Cup and the 200 million who engage in international rugby every year, yet there's only 24 million club fans around the world. So even if everyone was making money, I still feel there is a window for this project that is all about getting a new audience and attracting the audience that currently isn't in the traditional game. Traditional game, we always want to still thrive and produce talent down through the grassroots, but I still think there's a product out there for the elite of the game.
So very quickly, moving it to 2028, do you feel more confident now that it'll land with a bang and you'll get it to where you need to get it to, or have you still got challenges?
I think we've still got obviously challenges. We've got to change the narrative around the stakeholder piece and find a way of reaching a common ground that they're happy with. So I'm what we have bought. What we've basically done is created more time for us. I think post Rugby World Cup is also slightly easier for players and
Women's Lions Tour.
And the Women's Lions Tour in 27. So, with the Lions then taking that away from the ladies who signed for us was didn't expect them to do that, but it gives us a better entry, I think, where people will be more open for trialing something and giving it a go.
Interesting times, as always. That's what makes the world go round. Let's come on to the November that was. And I think, funny enough, one of the challenges, I'm not sure it's a challenge or not, but it definitely feels like the grass is greener now in the international game than perhaps it was 18 months ago when you first started sitting around the table and thinking something here needs to change. Yeah. It feels like there's been a very good comeback. Six Nations mega, Lions Tour was a sellout, Rugby Championship's been fantastic this year. November and the Autumn Nations Series has got a narrative now, and I think we will see what the new format from next summer onwards looks like, but there is an energy. I think there's definitely been a bit of a comeback on it. And then you get the game that you get in Cardiff, where all the good work and all the unbelievable competition that's taken on, and then you have, with the greatest of respect, a second string Springbok putting 73 points on a third string Wales, and you just sort of think 2 steps forward. It's not a massive step back, but it's just a slightly uncomfortable afternoon to have to sit through. Did you learn anything about South Africa at the Principality, or was it just a sort of an end of season jamboree, a little bit of a run out for the wider squad, and a sort of a chance just to dot the I's and cross the T's on a very good year?
If you beat anybody by 0, that for me was the big thing. Even though they were 50 points ahead and they did that cross kick, everybody was chasing back, everybody was putting effort in each action, and to be third string, second string, whatever string you want, to put anybody for 73 points, 72 points to 0, I'll take my hat off to them.
Yeah,
that's really good.
What dealings would you have had with Rassie in the early parts of your career?
So I made my debut provincially with Rassie. He Oosterrand.
Was that Cheetahs?
At the Cheetahs.
Was that with the traffic lights on the roof, or was that before you?
That's just after.
That was just after you.
Yeah, but my first video session at the Cheetahs. At the time, we still had a VHS, so you press forward, back, forward,
all
back.
The good old days.
Make sure you put in the right VHS.
And like, not those ones you think you were.
Didn't say anything.
So And like halfway through the training or the video session, Rassie puts his hand up and he says, Coach Colonel, that's totally wrong. I don't see it like that. And the coach says, but what do you mean? He says, no. Meanwhile, Rassie went and he bought himself a VHS player that you could work by hand, that they used in the Premier League soccer.
Yeah.
And he bought that. And Colonel Piet Kleinhans, as they called him, the coach at the Cheetahs at the time, said, but Rassie, if you know better, then come do the video session. And then all of a sudden, Rassie takes out this VHS, puts it in, and Rassie was running the videos from there.
Amazing.
That's how I started knowing Rassie.
And what do you make of his development from the man that brought his own video machine to start analysis to the man that has built? I mean, it's not just one of the great Bok dynasties at the moment. It looks to be one of the great rugby dynasties, certainly in any of our lifetimes. What do you make of his progress as a coach, as a man, as a leader for this group?
Yeah, for me, who put your hand up after winning 2 World Cups and saying, I want to go for a third?
Yeah.
You can't win this, because if he wins it, a 3rd World Cup, he's going to say how everybody expected.
Yeah.
And if he's not, then everybody's going to give him trouble for that. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he's a coach that every time, as soon as something gives, he's got something new.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you know exactly what they're going to do, he does something differently. And his work ethic is by far the best I've ever seen in my life. I remember at the Cheetahs, we would play against somebody and he'll give you a list and he'll say, Mike Tindall plays 12. He does that. He steps only off his right foot. Only if you do that, he'll do that.
Doesn't pass off his left.
But that's
or his
normal.
right.
Everybody knew that. But he'd give you tools and equip you to make you a better rugby player.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about Andre Esterhuizen at the moment, how hybrid he is. They wanted to move Andre as a under 20-year-old. They wanted to make him a flanker, but he kept playing center. But what Rassie can do is he can really work with that guy and teach him what he wants him to do to be able to do both roles
at the highest level.
At the highest level, and that's the difficult thing to do. To put so much effort and so much teach people to do something.
What about the evolution in the way the Boks have played this year? Because anybody who ever follows the game will know that they will come at you up front and they'll come at you hard, and if that doesn't work, they'll come at you harder type thing. But it looks like there's an addition behind the scrum now. Over the last 18 months, Tony Brown's joined, of course, but they're beating you up front. But if that needs to be flicked, they've got the ability to play around you as well.
Yeah, and I think if you said anything that frustrates people who watch the Springboks, is you look at that game in Wellington and how they just blew the All Blacks off the park and played offload rugby, and you see it and you want more of it. But I think that's also what Rassie does so well, is he has a plan for each game, and they play each game in a certain way. And they stick really well to it. And it's, yes, but they're built to then win any game. You look at any tough situation that they go into, they actually get better. Like they got better when they went down to 14 men in like two of the games, and then my personal joy is then the memes that come out about it. And like, obviously everyone, it went 7-1 and everyone's saying they should ban 7-1. Then they did they called a scrum off a mark, so everyone's like, you can't call a scrum off a mark. So
they've done the deliberate offside at the kickoff as well.
Deliberate offsides, the lifting, the pass lift up, and everyone's going, you should ban this. And now they're like, so then the meme on the weekend was like, World Rugby to ban red cards because the Springboks just get better. And it was just that. So it's all that stuff that he does. I think it's great for the game. People get frustrated with it, but why? Like that's this. Rugby is a game of complete tactics and manipulation of law. You see that with all the red cards and yellow cards that go on, and what's red, what's not. And Rassie I think he has fun playing around with it.
I'd love to be in some of his meetings where, obviously Clive Woodward was famous for coming up with 1,000 ideas, 999 of which Martin Johnson said those are rubbish, we won't do them. But will take that one. I'd love to be in some of the meetings where that brains trust goes to work. And his notebook when the time comes to retire would be a very valuable piece of rugby IP type thing. You mentioned the red card, so we have to have a word on Eben Etzebeth. What is the view of the most aggressive South African rugby player ever on the incident? Just quoting YouTube rather than my own view.
There's no good you can say about that. It's a horrible incident. I'm lucky I don't have to go sit through those meetings.
Yeah. Did you have one? Did you have one or two?
I don't have that many, but I had one or two.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah.
It'd be a good poach turned gamekeeper, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would you ever
get into
would you ever go to the disciplinary side of it?
Yeah.
We've got Wade Dooley up here.
Definitely.
You would, yeah. Play on.
Play on. Yeah.
Is that the time? Let's wrap this one up. Yeah.
Bands are down 95% since Bismarck's come on.
Do you feel? I mean, sympathies. Is it just one of those things? Park it, move on, or do you think he's going to get cop the book?
I think he's in trouble.
Okay.
If you,
I think because we haven't had an eye incident for so long, they'll make an example of it.
Yeah. Right. Watch this space. We shall see what comes of it. A word on where South Africa are right now as a nation, as a team, as a collective. Are they about as well prepared for what's to come in 2 years' time, for the next 2 years, as you could possibly want them to be? Or do you look at that and think, oh, there's one or two things I'd love to see kick on at this point? Give us a mark out of 10 for where the Boks are at this point in time.
Losing 2 games in a long season like this, playing against great teams, you can be proud, and I think they're very well prepared. The only thing is that we not really talking about is there's people that's getting a little bit older. There's youngsters coming through.
Yeah.
And 2 years, a year in rugby is a long time.
Yeah.
You have 3 or 4 big injuries in a side. A year, or actually a week in rugby is a long time. We'll see that about Eben as well. But how they are prepared, how they putting up their squad, how they using a lot of players. I think they bled 51 players last year and 50 players this year. That's well done, eh?
Sort of outrageous.
Last person to do that was Lieberman probably, and it had slightly different results.
Yeah.
So I think they're well prepared. They need to keep those guys that's really influential. I think they need to keep them nice and fresh.
Well, so some of them are doing that for themselves, but a bit of extra time on the beach.
Yeah.
One of the things I was really interested to talk to you about, we spoke to Bob Skinstad last week about obviously coming into the game against Wales, where South Africa are at. One of the things we didn't touch on was the Boks scrum. So, as your area of expertise, where has that kind of power surge come from? And give us your view of Dan Human as well, and the role that he's had in turning that pack into the most formidable outfit that it is.
Sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't get it right. But the Boks get it more often than not right at the moment. The front rowers are destroying the opposition straight on, and I think the back five are really scrumming really, really powerful. If before the time you could see how they almost like put their boots in the turf, and to have a guy like Peter Steff behind you, Sia, Jasper Wiese, I think it's a collective thing. Scrum is not, people always ask me, so who's the toughest guy you ever played against and or scrummed against? And I said it's impossible to say who you scrummed against is tough, because you're scrumming as a collective and as a unit. And I think the cohesion, the explosiveness, when the ball comes in, opposition ball, that immediate shove off the ball, I think Dan is working hours and hours to get that 1% of change, because I think it's not a massive difference between the best and the worst scrum, but I just think South Africa at the moment has cohesion and are together a lot stronger than what they are alone.
You were part of a formidable Boks, Pat. I'm thinking the 09 Lions in particular, but across the board you had your moments. when you were at your best as a pack, did you run it yourselves as players, or were you coached to be as good as you were?
You have to be coached. There's got to be somebody that takes the slack and somebody who gets the praise as well. We at the time we didn't have that many coaches. Nowadays it's you got a line out coach, you got a scrum coach, you got a defensive coach, you got a SNC coach, you got a logistics manager. So it was a little bit different. It was a little bit more player driven. But I wish we could have kept that going, exactly what the Boks are doing now. So they're so strong in that aspect that it's not just a once-off thing. They this week the same, next week the same. And sometimes when they really need it, they get penalties, and they are the box scrum for me is almost more effective than anything else in the team, because whenever we need a penalty, we get a penalty.
It's quite a useful tool to ever play.
You look at that Ireland game, they made Ireland scrum like 16 times, and they get their rewards out of that. Obviously, they got a yellow card, two yellow cards,
both tight heads went.
So this is the old adage between stats and what actually shows up on a game day. You'd always pick those Safa props, because I reckon the penalties they win are more influential than a prop that can make you look at Angus Bell, that can make a 50-yard break and score a try, but winning 6-7 penalties for your team will give you 6 or 7 opportunities to score points directly, whereas one line break and one try won't necessarily do that. And if you are conceding penalties, you're actually a detriment to your team.
If you look at normal rugby, they say if you have less than 9 penalties, you're more than likely to win the game.
Yeah.
So now you're scrumming against them, and you're already 4 penalties or 3 penalties.
You're taking what you can do around the field really off.
And that's nothing to do with you. You're not actually conceding the penalty. They're actually gaining the penalty.
Yeah.
And that's effective.
Yeah.
That's really effective.
I'm going to ask the same question I asked last week, but I'm just wondering whether what we saw at the weekend, is there an element in any way, shape or form that South Africa are too good 2 years out from a World Cup? Can they sustain where they're at?
Look, I think there are definitely scenarios where you'd say that, but if you look at how good the group behind and the young group that are coming through, they have an abundance of talent just queuing up for their opportunity. And I think Rassie, what he's done unbelievably well, he knows this, to have the foresight to tell people a couple of months out from a series of games that you'll play in that one, you won't play in that one, and he's already predicted it. Whereas most coaches are just praying for a win, or they're putting their best team because they need to get a win. They're not thinking about development. Rassie is in this unique, and I think he's created more competition by doing it. He's actually really upskilled players to actually, to challenge other people.
I won't say he's creating something.
Oh no, that's coming through the schools.
The thing is, for me, when you say to Peter Steff, you're gonna play against Japan, you're gonna miss Italy, you're gonna play against France. He's actually building the team stronger.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden everybody gets a chance. Because I've been also in teams where I sat for almost, I was 18 games with the Springboks and I never got a chance. But what he does is he's actually creating the guy that's not playing every weekend. He's actually making him stronger because he's telling him, you will play here.
Yeah.
And he also gives the other guy the opportunity to know, I'm your first choice, he's my second choice. And he's building a tighter team, because the one thing of a team is, as soon as players in the team start fighting with each other, or the one pulls that one, the one pulls that way. But what he does is he gets everybody aligned and he tells them, you're going to play here, you're going to play here, no matter what. And that gives any player, that's the only thing you want. You as a player want the coach to be honest with you. You want the coach to believe in you, no matter what the consequences are. And that's what Rassie does by a country mile better than anybody else.
How does he do that? Because the comparison I would make for those, I mean, I can't imagine you watch a lot of England football, but Jude Bellingham, the star of the show, comes off, kicks water bottles, gets very upset about being substituted. And yet South Africa are swapping props at 38 minutes. And it's the sense of unity. And the example was given of Sia in Paris, taken off in his 100th cap because they were a man down and needed to make the change. Does so without a complaint. I mean, obviously, it's not just Rassie, it's Sia who leads as well. But what are the tricks that Rassie is using to ensure that no ego gets out of control?
So what you need to understand is, do Sia take his own accomplishments above this team?
Yeah.
No. He's taking his team's accomplishments above his 100th test.
Yeah.
Because everybody was fuming about it in France. And I said, but you must remember, now you lost a lock. You have Peter Steph de Toy, you have Jasper Wiese, and you have Eben. So you only have 2 options in a line out. So where are you going to get the line out?
Yeah.
And that's why he had to go off. And we've all seen the series of Rassie and how he gives so much detail on how he runs a team, and there's no egos. And I can tell you that is where the team is stronger than the individual.
Yeah.
Where Sia can say, Coach, I take that. It's not nice, but I take that. But after 80 minutes, if you ask the whole team and you ask Sia, would you take the win?
Yep.
Or do you take your 100th cap and you played 80 minutes? He'll definitely take the win. Anybody will do that.
What would you have been like, taken off at 35 minutes because a change needed to be made? Would you have gone, yep, cool? Or were you of a different era?
I don't think I can't compare myself to him because how Rassie runs his team
very different.
Is very different than what we will run.
Yeah.
Because he will tell them, you're going to play this game, and he doesn't go back on that.
Okay.
There's injury here or a guy that's got some personal issue, but he sticks to that, and that is how he gets buy-in from each and every player.
Yes, but we talk about this all the time. It's always about environment. Yes, they've got incredible players at the same time, but the environment that is the most important thing that makes a team turn up on the field. You've seen loads of environments where people have got great players, but yet they're not pulling for the same direction. And I think one thing Rassie has done unbelievably well with that team is give them a purpose that they've all bought into.
And being honest with him.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you one last question about the box? Because then I want to talk and reflect on your career. July the 4th. How much are the box looking forward to? And I'm going to quote your old mate, Scott Berger, looking forward to welcoming England's TikToker who plays a bit of rugby, Henry Pollock. And an England team that are, I don't think they'd say that they are necessarily that close in the wing mirrors, but they are certainly much closer in the wing mirrors than they were 12 months ago to South Africa, who lead the way. How much are you looking forward to July the 4th? Ellis Park, of all places as well. Good luck, boys.
As South African, there's a few teams that you don't need any motivation for, and England's one of them.
Righto.
So for people calling people TikTokers, I don't have any social media or anything, but
hey, all the farmers over here, the big TikTokers now.
The big
parking their tractors in Whitehall.
Julian White. You need to get on that.
Tom
He tells you about his ladies, the cows in the field. Tom Young's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be following you, see what's going on in the farm.
Okay. My farm's got one, not me. But the thing is, I think it's going to be everybody. Last autumn, nobody gave England a chance, and I think they stuck together, made a few changes, and I thought they had an awesome autumn. I thought they played really well. They had people who was really effective. They had people doing magic. Their kicking game was good. Their scrum was good. So yeah,
have they got the power game to match the box?
Well, I think they got some players that can match it. But do you think that you're going to outpower them? You got to outmuscle them, and you got to outthink them as well.
So, and the bomb squad.
Yeah, I think like Steve's work. Like you speak to Ellis and how much now they're just putting more timber on and actually getting that power game and understanding the role of that. I think they understand where they want to get to, but you're just not producing the big pieces of meat that are coming out of they say, but can we get some of these young kids into loving scrums as much as
Salads.
as much as salads? Yeah, stay away from the salads. And, I don't know, but look, that's the beauty of rugby. You've got to find your strengths and then hammer your strengths. And at the moment, that is what the Springboks have. They have their DNA, and they're quite happy to go, well, this is our DNA, and we'll stick to it. Whereas others go, we need to try and compete with them or do it that way. And well, stick to what you enjoy doing and what suits you best and suits your team best, and you'll get the best results. So I think, whether that's, look at England with their kicking game and how they get after it. Obviously, that's worked for South Africa as well in the past. But it's something that we've benefited off through the autumn. The likes of Roebuck stepping up. It suits our narrative with Freeman as well. And I imagine we'll just keep building off that.
July the 4th, 2026.
What I think is, what I've played with a few players who's played with Steve at Bath, at Saracens, and none of them say any bad word about him.
Yeah.
And we spoke about team environment and team dynamics. George Ford didn't even want to go to Argentina. He went there, played his heart out, and he kept being rewarded. That is the thing that makes the environment strong, where you get a chance, you play well, and you stay rewarded. And he did repay them in this autumn. I thought he was playing really well. He kept having the 10 jersey, and that's something that builds a culture.
Yeah. Certainly a much happier Christmas, you would imagine, in 2025 for Steve Borthwick than potentially in 2024. Deservedly so as well. It's been a very good year for England. It has been an unbelievable year for the Boks. And I tell you what, Tins, while we're talking about Christmas, tell me what it is you're most looking forward to about the 25th of December.
The 25th specifically, well, we're into silly season, aren't we? Because there are lunches, dinners everywhere, which I do also like, because it means you catch up with people you might not have seen. We normally try and do one with the 97 under 18s lot. So
wow.
Lofty,
Carnage.
And, Lofty, Beastie, Bolsh, a few others who come along to that.
I'm unbelievably excited. I think what I'm thinking of here with regards to Christmas, do you want to have a little guess?
No, you tell me.
Okay. Smooth, aromatic, and it comes from one region in France.
Antoine Dupont's back?
No, well, he is back, but I'm not giving Antoine Dupont to anyone for Christmas. The next clue is it's been aged for a minimum of 4 years and uses grapes entirely from the two most exclusive areas of cognac. Can you see where I'm going with this?
I've got you now. And it must be the perfect gift for Christmas. It can be the one and only Remy Martin VSOP you must be talking about.
Yeah, indeed I am, Michael. You've done very well to get there after 2 unbelievably cryptic clues. Christmas hosting and gifting this year with a touch of luxury thanks to Remy Martin VSOP.
So from the Good, the Bad, the Rugby and the Remy Martin VSOP team, we hope you enjoy your Christmas festivities in the most excellent way, but always do it responsibly.
So how is life living on a farm in Bethlehem? But not that Bethlehem, the South African Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Tell us how life is.
I'm very fortunate to have been having an amazing career in rugby and to be a full-time father at the moment. I've got a big family, and I try my best to spend as much time as possible. I've got a farm, got a cattle farm. We do crops, soya beans, maize, wheat, sugar beans, and a little bit of green feed for the cattle. But yeah, life is very good.
I'm
And
so
two
glad to hear it.
sets of twins.
And 2 sets.
I was like,
which
do you
is
have
amazingly
twins
well
in your
planned.
family? He was like, no. I was like, oh, they're going to be in there for a long time now. aren't they?
Yeah. So you got 5 kids ranging from what age to what age?
From 9 to 2.
Wow. So you're in what's called the tunnel of darkness, where it's just sort of man on man marking as much
There
as
was
possible.
a-
How do you man a 5?
Well, I don't know. Run a
Yeah.
blitz. I don't know.
So I do drive a minivan now, eh?
Is that right?
Yeah.
All
Oh,
aboard.
it's always the
All
word
aboard.
there, when the cars aren't big enough that you have to get a minivan.
And what are the things that your kids are most into? Is it sport? Are they into the farming? Are they
No,
into riding?
my kids love sport, like any kid, and you try to encourage them to do as much sport as they can. But my kids love hunting, eh?
Yeah.
In South Africa, we hunt a lot. They love shooting.
Even the 2-year-old? That's quite, quite
No,
an
not
early
yet.
age to
Th-
take it up.
girls,
but-
That's girls.
Okay, got you.
So we try to keep them a little bit posh. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss your previous life at all? Or are you happy with what it was and where it now lies?
Yo, I can't miss my previous life because I gave everything I had. Coming from a very small town in Bethlehem, I never even thought in my whole life I'll play 20 games for my provincial side or my club side in Bethlehem, and yeah, I played more than 450 games. Sitting in London, talking to beautiful people like you. Um, that for me is something I can never regret. I've been blessed. I received a lot more than what I should have received,
Okay.
and I'm a very grateful person for that.
And how would you describe yourself as a player? Because we've quoted the YouTube thing, which is designed, I imagine, to get clicks. But you were the spearhead of a remarkable South African team, and you were a sort of talisman for the Boks for many, many years. How do you reflect on yourself as a player?
I played as hard as I could. I never backed down from any confrontational things because it's something that's almost like bred into you as a little boy. Me and my brother grew up. Everything was a competition, from running, from swimming, from being on the farm, horse riding. Anything was a competition. So competition is something that brings the best out of me. But I'm a guy who wore my heart on my sleeve. Um, I was upfront. I could never pretend to be something that I was not. Um, and I tried to make the team wherever I played a better team. I did many things wrong, and that I could go back now and change it. But at the time, I thought that was the best for the team.
I suppose coming through, like the South African schooling system's got a great. You were fifth generation at Gray's College, right? Or,
My kids will be.
yeah.
Oh,
Your
really?
kids will be.
Yeah.
You were the. So it's but growing up with the likes, you who came through with you? CJ van der Linde.
CJ van der Linde,
Yeah, obviously Kelbert Reinert went there, but probably a bit later. Nakadrotsky.
Naka, Franstein.
And that sort of level of competition that is at school level, I just think it breeds that mentality from a very early age.
I think coming from this very small town, you're the only provincial guy who actually played from your school, and then you arrive at Grey College, and all of a sudden there's 70 or 80 provincial guys, and at a very young age, you get taught if you don't play this weekend, somebody else will play in your position, and that will make you train harder, be more disciplined, and that's what I think. It's that small competition nowadays. I went to a school here in London, and there was no winners or no losers. Everybody got medals, and that's difficult for me because my kids, I don't even let them beat me. I still beat them at most things, except if they tag up against me. But yeah, I think competition is a great thing.
Yeah.
Please come and be our Prime Minister, Bismarck, when you're not farming. Just interesting. It's interesting. We're talking about the competition. Do you see? Was the spark lit for you in competition with Jannie? Was it driven by your parents, or was it stepping into that school system, etc.? Where did the first fires for your competitive nature come from?
Do you have a brother?
Yes, I've got a brother. Yeah.
So you're not competing against him.
He is 7 years younger, 4 inches taller, 4 times as bright, twice as successful. So yeah, I try and compete, but
I always try to compete with Jannie, but not with the brain side. I always said Jannie is like a little teddy bear, nice and soft, and I was tall, dark, and handsome. So.
I'd love to see that one get sorted out between the two of them.
That's basically how I work with my brother. My brother won't beat me at anything apart from if it was to do with intelligence.
Right,
he'll smash me.
But yeah, right. I think it's just growing up together, like doing things differently, and it's something that you are born into.
Yeah. Were you always really close with Jannie? Are you still very close to them now? And
we're very close together. Close. He, growing up, he's always been a real older brother and teaching me good manners, teaching me this. I was always taking a little bit more chances, and then when we actually came to rugby, I was the one that's a little bit more focused, and Jannie was taking a little bit more risks. So yeah, we are very close. We speak often. I don't see him as much as I can now because he's up in Krugersdorp and I'm back on the farm.
Yeah, and forgive me for asking, but he's had a seriously rough time of late. Is he? How is he in life in general? And forgive me if I'm asking, and you don't want to go there, but
No,
I don't know if you want to
It's
mention that.
It's the worst thing that I have ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, he lost a little one.
Yeah, his boy drowned in the swimming pool when he was 10 months old. It's something that it's almost like a club you never want to be part of.
Yeah,
he's actually busy, or we just finished this morning. He's doing a bike ride. It's called the Munga. It's 1,148 k's, one stage.
wow,
And 120 hours to finish it. And it's his third one he did, and he does that once a year for his boy.
And is he fundraising?
He's fundraising for them.
We will put the link to that in our show, and if people would like to get involved, it's a desperate story, and I'm sorry to ask.
The thing is, there's other people that have worse stories, but for my family and for my close people, I've never experienced anything like that. It's the worst thing that could ever happen.
Yeah.
It's a thing that, like, you have to speak about it. But if people ask me, I'm a very opinionated guy. But after that, I learned that you cannot have an opinion about everything in life.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how people mourn. You don't know how he mourns. You don't know how he feels in the morning. You don't know how his wife feeling. You don't know how his other kids are feeling. It's just a terrible, horrible thing that happened.
I'm so very sorry for him and for you. And it is. It puts so many things in perspective, and this show often sort of prats about and farts about. But when you hear people like you talk like that, it puts a lot of things in perspective. And we will put that link into the bio of our show. Tell me about playing alongside him, though, for the years that you did. And there was a lot of rugby with the two of you side by side. Do you remember a sort of little extra special bond in those moments, or was he always just another player on a team and you went to work?
No ways.
Regardless.
We had a special bond like you can't believe. I'll tell you a funny story about Jannie. We come from humble beginnings, and as an older brother, you never like when your younger brother starts having bigger feet or he's becoming a little bit taller than you. So I used to get all Jannie's hand-me-downs, and at a stage, I was 17, he was 19, and eventually my feet was getting bigger than his. And we didn't have shoes to run, like trainers, and the hand-me-downs was too small for me. So Jannie was playing for the under-19s of the Cheetahs.
Yeah.
And they were sponsored by Adidas. And he didn't take a size 11. He took a 12.5 for me.
Wow.
And then the coach or the manager at the time said, "But Jannie, you 11." I said, "No, you'll wear 12.5." And he took those shoes and he gave them to me. So I had new shoes. And I gave him my old shoes so he could run. But that was a 10 that I got from a friend. And we would do fitness tests in December. We always had off in December, and we were on the farm. And after 3 weeks, Jannie took his shoes off and he had no toenails on because the shoes was too small. And I was running in his shoes that he should have been.
Wow.
So if that doesn't tell you the bond we had, it will never tell you what we went through.
Wow. That's pretty special. It's part of the front row club as well. Yeah. Do you remember the heat of the battle and how he differed to you, when the going got tough type thing? Was he always quite calm and considered as a player? You were sort of talking.
He's never ever.
Right. Okay.
He's way more.
Even as a doctor.
Oh,
right.
Worse than me, 100%. There's certain people that you struggle sometimes against when you play. And there was a call. At the time, the Waratahs was really difficult scrumming against, and they had Ben Robinson and Tatafa Politano, and there was about 2-3 seasons that that we really struggled against them. And I remember looking at him before we gonna get punished in the scrum, and he just looked at me and said, "Here we go again." So yeah, we had many special moments and things like I knew how to get the best out of him, and he knew how to get the best out of me, and we always try to help each other and encourage each other with that.
Yeah. And what about your career now? You mentioned the Japan game, which would be the low point. But which of the days now, both club, province, Springboks, where you look back now and you think that was as good as it got? You had some amazing days against the All Blacks. You had a World Cup win in 2007. You won a Lions series in 2009. That brings a flicker of a smile. Which of the days where you look back and think that was as good as it got?
Yo, this is going to sound like a massive cliche and sound like I'm a very deep person, but honestly, every day I got paid to play rugby was a blessing for me. Days when I would wake up in Durban, we were staying together, and you open the curtains and the ocean is right in front of you, and you go down to Kings Park and you train. You get paid to be healthy. You get paid to play rugby, to be in the sun, to look after your body. And if I could mention one game that really stood out for me, I think that 2009 second test against the Lions was a massive game because it was two amazing sides who went at each other at 110%, and it's a great team against a great team, and it was a war of nutrition. So yeah, if I could mention one game, I think that. But on a personal level, there was a game we played. It's the real first big game me and my brother played together. It was a varsity game, university. I was at University of Bloemfontein, and our big rivals was against Potch, and we beat them for the first time in like 13 or 12 years. So on a personal level, I think that's my most enjoyable because I was still young. I was naive.
Full of energy.
Beautiful women, beautiful atmosphere, and that whole weekend, I'd say that's the highlight. But to single out a game I played would be unfair. But honestly, every day I could play rugby was amazing.
It's really interesting you mentioned that Lions second test because that's gone down in folklore on the Lions side of things because of the absolute brutality of it. But it's interesting that you've picked. I mean, did you know in the game, Christ alive, this is at another level to anything I've played against, or was that sort of a normal day at the office for you guys?
I think when you're in the battle, it's we were talking about Eben's incident, but 2 minutes into that game, Skulk was also in an incident like that.
That was play on, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think it afterwards when you actually look back at the game, you actually see the ultimate clashes and you see where you were. But when you're in the game, you can ask him as well. You don't actually feel those hits. There where Brian O'Driscoll knocked Donnie out. I was actually supposed to get that ball, and Donnie came right in front of me. But in the game, you don't actually feel it. But looking back at it, you see, shit, that was hard. That was massive. And because in the game, you are full of adrenaline and you train for that.
Yeah. What do you remember of 07? When you look back at that now and winning the World Cup, did you go into that tournament thinking we're good enough to do this, or did you build into that position throughout the tournament?
I was 23 years old. I was naive. All I wanted to do was to learn from the players that's been there. I just made my debut about 4 months before that. I wasn't in the squad in the initial parts. And then I played almost every game. I don't think it's like now. where you build. I wasn't part of building up to that point, but I think when we started playing, our other brutal game was that first game against Samoa, South Africa against Samoa.
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the bench and looking at Tuilagi standing on the opposite 22, and then I remember him just, as soon as that ball left the hooker's hand, he started running, and a big guy, Skalkberger, Juan Smith, Donnie Rousseau, and the one would tackle him, he'll bump one guy off, the other one would jump on his back, and then eventually the third guy.
That really is hunting in the wild.
Yeah. But that was a brutal game as well. But I don't think I personally, Bismarck du Plessis, personally went into the thing and thinking we build through this, because I was just part of the side for the last year.
Do you remember the aftermath and the celebrations and what it meant to South Africa to come back with the Webb Ellis Trophy?
Like I say, I never knew that it's going to be that big for our country, because you almost secluded in France. You hear all the stories. There was no social media. I can remember at that time I was still phoning my mom with the world call card, and
reverse charge call.
Reverse charge call. So at certain hotels I won't even phone because the connection fee was too much, because you must remember our exchange rate is not as good as other places, and I'd phone my mom like on a landline, and we didn't have cell phones. So I don't think you knew until we landed in Johannesburg and saw all the people at the airport how big it is.
Yeah. When you look back at all the teams you played in, who would be the guys that you enjoyed playing alongside, the guys that you might keep in touch with now? I mean, do you still see Frans Steyn every so often, and that 07 crew? Is it the later years? Is it the 2015 Springbok crew? Is it when you see them and it's
when you see
like
them, you
was?
see them, and you friends with all of them. Friendships is what you put into it. If you don't phone anybody, they're not going to phone you. And
like that.
Yeah, very simple.
It's very simple. So you got to make effort to see them. So, but our squad of Springboks, whenever we can, on the weekend I saw John, and we spent a lot of time together. Last weekend with Victor. So it all depends on where you are, but we try to keep in touch with each other.
I think that just observationally, I think the Springboks former players are very good at doing that.
Yeah.
I know you're doing lots with the 03 crew, but it feels like that has to be kind of energized by a few. Whereas there's a great brethren once you play for South Africa.
Again, I think it comes down to, we talked about environment earlier. I think it comes down to your environment, and what rugby players are very good at is picking up where they left off as well. So I think it's one of those things that you might not have spoken, but once you're back in the room together, you pick that up a lot quicker. And that is one thing sort of the 03 years has done, is by sort of getting that collective back together and speaking to them more often. I've actually found it's massively benefited all of them. I speak to, I would have spoken to like Lawrence, obviously Bolsh and a few others quite regularly anyway, Jason and Robinson and all these guys. But then now I'm speaking to a wider breadth of that squad, and it actually has been good. I've enjoyed doing it. So but you're right, you have to put the effort in, otherwise
it fades.
I'm
going to say a name to you, and you can react however you like. Dan Carter.
Exceptional player.
Go on.
So you want the story?
Well, I mean, you tell me. I mean, like, how often do you get asked about, in inverted commas, that tackle?
No, it's actually a very funny story. So Dan, when you play against him, you actually hate him.
Yeah.
Because he was just that good. But off the field, he's a super human. We would play against each other with Super Rugby, and we became friends and foes. But at the time, at the Sharks, Dick Meir was our coach, and he wanted us to not be professional rugby players, and he just wanted us to be like a work experience. And he got me into this brokerage, insurance brokerage, and the lady who worked with me she loved Dan Carter with all her heart.
I don't think she's the only one, but yeah.
No.
And so Dan Carter was a jockey model.
Yeah, I remember that.
Underwear model.
Yeah. Did you have similar endorsement deals?
Yeah.
Or farm
jockey,
machinery, not jockey.
Not jockey. I got quite a famous one. I'll show it to you later about pumps. But,
okay.
It's very
if
funny.
you say so, Bismarck.
And she loved him, and she always said, she loves Dan, and she would talk about Dan Carter every day of my life.
Right.
When I was there. And Dan Carter had like a signing session in Durban, and she thought it's quite funny to get me a pair of jocks, white jocks, because you must remember, farmer boys don't wear white jocks because we have to wear them in one day this way and other way the next day,
and then back to front.
Back to front.
Yeah. 4 days wear.
So you could never wear a white one because you know what happens to white.
I'm not
ones.
saying anything, but yeah, I'm riding alongside.
But it looks like you wear white ones today.
Yeah,
eh?
well, you know me.
And she got me this big poster, and she framed it and said, "To Bismarck, with love, Dan Carter."
Wow.
And I said to her, "You know what, honey? One day I'm gonna kill that man." And never in my wildest dream I thought that it will really happen because he was just too good for me. I've tried to tackle him a million times. And in that test, 22 kickoff, I'm not the fastest guy ever. So as soon as that ball got clapped, I knew there's no
Locked on.
I locked on only one thing. And as soon as that ball got tapped, I knew I'm not even offside because there is no offside line. And if the ball arrived half a second earlier, I would have touched the goal posts. And if it was a little bit half a second later, I would have tackled him without the ball. But I was going to tackle him with or without the ball. And by hook or crook, it got to him at the right time. And as soon as I hit him and I fell on the ground, I could hear he's in pain. And he was like, "Oh." And then it was a whole big commotion. Got my card. But the funniest
yellow,
thing,
not red at that point.
But
Well,
the
I
funniest,
don't know why it's not even a yellow, really.
Yeah.
but the funniest thing of that is, a year previously, Andrew Orr is a good friend of mine. They played against Hurricanes against the Crusaders, and Ma Nonu tackled them.
Yes.
And
Not tiddlywinks, mate.
yeah, and then he said to the referee, he got a yellow card, and Andrew Orr said, "But are we not allowed to touch Dan?" So now you must remember, it's like a long walk to. On your own, everybody's booing you, and Andrew was sitting on the bench at the time, and about 15 meters from the sideline, I could hear this fucking irritating Andrew Horse shouting at me, "Bismarck, Bismarck, Bismarck," and I didn't want to look because everybody's booing me, and I don't know how they do it now, but they used to put like a naughty chair.
Yeah. Still got a naughty chair.
Yeah, still
Naughty
got
step.
the naughty chair. So the referee was coming here, and I could see in the side of my eye, I could see him creeping up to me. And about at the 5 meter, I looked at him like distorted and looked at him, and he said, "Told you never to touch that."
So in the outside you.
And then it was all over. So yeah, that's the story.
And have you seen Dan since? Does his shoulder still twinge when you walk past nowadays or not? I think it popped out, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he might have his AC or something.
No, I don't think he's got any problems with that. I think he polishes his own boots because his boot won 2 World Cups for him.
There you go.
I was going to say, just off the back of that, was like how much are you looking forward to this off the back of the Dan tackle and this greatest rivalry tour that's coming next year? Does that excite everyone in South Africa?
It excites everybody. I think it's we need those not one-off games anymore. You need to create a vibe within the place where you're going to play. So I think this whole new competition is awesome.
Fantastic. We shall look forward to that
Yeah,
next year, along with England heading to Johannesburg. Just as we sort of sum up, really, when you look back now, and you've played under some, we've touched on Rassie, but you've played under some unbelievable people, Jake White, Montpellier, Sharks. You've talked about some of your university rugby as well. Who was the biggest influence, do you think, as a coach or a mentor, as a friend, as you came through in the game? Who are the people that you think now, do you know what, without their input and their belief, I might not have made it to where I made it to?
Firstly, it's personally wise. A guy like my dad was always influential. Definitely Jannie. But at a young stage, Johan Ackerman was a very, very big influence to me, and because he just came out of that band when he was banned and he played at the Sharks. But as a coach, if I got to give all the coaches I've been coached by 1 point for, or point them for ability, how they treat people, how they create a culture, how he knows about the game. If I could point each one, I would definitely give John Plumtree the biggest points
Really?
in my career.
Really? Because he got you? He understood the game? What was it for you?
You play with coaches who are really good motivators. Then you get coaches who knows how to get a team correct, but he treats people badly. And then you get a guy like Peter de Villiers was a coach in my time who cared the most for people, who cared the most for his team. And then you get other coaches whose ability is far greater than others, but he treats people in a bad way.
The stick rather than the carrot.
Yeah. So if I got to point them all and I got to give them points, I think the guy who would score the highest points is John Plumtree.
Can I ask about Jake White? Did you? He obviously helped you get to a World Cup winners medal, but did you have the old sort of tete-a-tete, the odd scrap with him as well along the way?
You have scrap with all of them.
Okay.
You have scrap with
good
all
luck
of
to
them.
Good luck to them.
But you scrap with all of them. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about Jake as well. I finished in Montpellier, finished 13 weeks, done. I don't want to touch rugby again, just after COVID. And all of a sudden, I get this phone call. Jake phones me. He says, no, he wants me to come play. I said, no, man, I'm finished. I'm too old now. I want to finish. And about 2 days later, he phones me again and says, but where am I? I say, but I'm on the harvester. I'm on the farm. And 2 minutes later, my worker phones me and says, there's a guy who's looking for me. He says his name's Jake White. So I get off the harvester. I go back to the farm. And there was Jake. And I played a year and a half at the Bulls. And I must say it was a good ending, because I don't think I would have loved rugby if he didn't give me that chance. So
Really?
I don't think we had a fallout, me and Jake. He was a coach that picked me for the first time. Jake was also brutal. When
Yeah.
I was a youngster, he'd say, you get slow, and sorry for swearing, get fucking slow, and then you get Bismarck slow.
Come on.
Yeah, for a 17-year-old boy, that's the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
It's real inspiration.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you already-
I'm so glad that final chapter, though, with the Bulls sort of leaves you with a really warm feeling about what has been a remarkable career. And it's been fantastic to have you on the show. Tins, will you do another? We'll do one for Bismarck. We'll do one for Jannie as well. A couple of bottles of Black Eye. Jannie
Obviously,
may end up with both of them.
No, I like gin and dry lemon though.
There you go.
Okay,
Well,
there you
that's
go.
almost the painkiller,
Yeah,
which
it
is
is
a
almost
very
the
good
painkiller.
cocktail for
But
those who need
obviously,
it.
£1.50 of each, the equivalent amount goes to a rugby charity that supports
Oh,
people.
thank you very much.
Sportsman. We'll
The
give
game,
one
so
to Jannie as well.
Whilst you're having that, you're actually raising money for
Raising the up.
Thank you very
Trimmer
much.
players.
Best of luck to Jannie on his bike ride. Please give us
Yeah.
that link and we'll
Yeah.
put it into the description box for anyone who would like to join in the sport. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations
sir.
on a glorious career. And hope you make it back safely to the
Thank
farm
you-
in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do for our sport, and good luck with the R360. I really hope you guys can pull it off.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Those
you
are
very
two unbelievable promotional bits, which are going to
Yeah.
get played on a loop.
Hey.
You heard it here, South African fans. Thank you
yeah.
for what Tins does for the sport. Bismarck, thank you so very much again. Brilliant to have you on. A quick note from us, because we are really excited about this. We've got a brand new podcast launching from The Good, The Bad and The Media stable with our good friend, who is the editor-in-chief of the Rake magazine, Tom Chamberlain, and it is called The Luxury Dispatch.
Yeah, joined by an extraordinary lineup of guests, Tom delves into the refined and the rare. Each episode explores a different subject, uncovering the craftsmanship, heritage, and subtle details that define the world of luxury.
It's basically a podcast for every single boy who grew up wanting to be James Bond. So, included in the topics, cocktails, Armani, cigars, Rolex. We've got guests such as actor Rafe Spall, director Paul Feig, highly knowledgeable journalists and historians, and even a couple of rugby legends enlisted. It says rugby legends, but Tins is alongside. Hask somehow made it on as well. There is a truly remarkable Christmas gift as well. We're naming no names on that one.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Check out The Luxury Dispatch with Tom Chamberlain. The first episode is out now and available on YouTube and all major podcasting platforms.
While we're talking about Christmas gifting, hello to this. This is The Good, the Bad and the Rugby Reloaded. It's an absolute ripper of a read. It also burns for 6 hours if you're having trouble with your logs this winter. It's available on Amazon. It is also available wherever you can buy your books, Waterstones, etc. Signed copies are available. It's a great read for those who love the chaos behind this podcast. Thank you again to Bismarck. Thank you, as always, to our friends Continental Tyres, who are the sponsors of the Continental Tyres Schools Cup, driving the next generation from the ground up. We're a folding pocket production, stats and facts provided by Russ Petty, and this episode was produced by Tyres. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next time out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Good, Yay, The Bad, and The Rugby, Oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell and Mike Tindall. Thanks for listening.